Cultural differences in body language. Cultural differences are an important aspect of body language to consider, as the way that people communicate non-verbally can vary significantly between cultures. Cultural differences in body language refer to the ways in which people from different cultures communicate non-verbally, or through their body language and gestures. Body language includes facial expressions, eye contact, posture, and gestures, and these can vary greatly across cultures. For example, in some cultures, maintaining eye contact is a sign of respect, while in others it may be considered rude or aggressive. Similarly, some cultures may use more physical touch to communicate, while in others physical touch is reserved for close relationships. It's important to be aware of these cultural differences and to try to understand the body language of people from other cultures to communicate effectively. Few examples of cultural differences in body language. In some Asian cultures, it is considered rude to show the soles of your feet or to point your feet at someone. In many Middle Eastern cultures, it is common to greet others with a kiss on each cheek. In some Latin American cultures, it is common to stand close to someone when talking and to use a lot of physical touch, such as patting or hugging. In many Western cultures, maintaining eye contact is a sign of honesty and attentiveness, but in some Asian cultures, avoiding eye contact is a sign of respect. In some African cultures, it is considered rude to show the inside of your wrist, as it is considered a private and sacred part of the body. In many Asian cultures, it is considered rude to speak with your hands in your pockets, but in some Western cultures, this is seen as casual and relaxed. These are just a few examples, and it's important to note that there can be variations within cultures as well. It's always a good idea to try to learn about the customs and body language of the culture you're interacting with. Some features of cultural differences in body language. Facial expressions. Different cultures may have different ways of expressing emotions through their facial expressions. For example, in some cultures, it is common to smile frequently, while in others it may be seen as insincere. Eye contact. In some cultures, maintaining eye contact is a sign of respect, while in others it may be seen as aggressive or confrontational. Posture. Different cultures may have different expectations for posture, such as standing or sitting up straight, or slouching. Gestures. Different cultures may use different gestures to communicate, such as waving, nodding, or shrugging. Physical touch. Some cultures may be more physical in their communication, using touch to show affection or to emphasize a point, while in other cultures physical touch may be reserved for close relationships. Proximity. Different cultures may have different expectations for personal space, with some cultures standing closer together when interacting and others standing farther apart. It's important to be aware of these cultural differences to communicate effectively with people from other cultures. Few factors to keep in mind when it comes to cultural differences in body language. 1. Gestures. Different cultures may use different gestures to convey the same meaning, or the same gestures may have different meanings in different cultures. For example, the thumbs up gesture is generally seen as positive in the United States, but it can be seen as offensive in some Middle Eastern countries. Gestures are nonverbal movements that we use to communicate, and they can vary greatly across cultures. Here are a few examples of gestures that can have different meanings in different cultures. Thumbs up. In many Western cultures, the thumbs up gesture means good or okay, but in some Middle Eastern and Mediterranean cultures, it can be considered rude or offensive. Pointing. In some cultures, pointing with your finger is considered a normal way to indicate something, but in others it may be seen as rude or impolite. Waving. In many Western cultures, waving with an open hand is a friendly greeting, but in some Asian cultures, waving with a closed fist is more common. Nodding. In many Western cultures, nodding your head up and down means yes, but in some Eastern cultures, nodding your head from side to side can mean the same thing. The OK sign. In many Western cultures, making an OK sign with your thumb and forefinger is a positive gesture, but in some Latin American countries, it can be seen as an obscene gesture. It's always a good idea to be aware of these cultural differences in gestures, and to try to understand the body language of people from other cultures in order to communicate effectively. Please subscribe our channel if you want more videos like this. Press the bell icon. 2. Eye contact. The way that people use eye contact can also vary significantly between cultures. In some cultures, prolonged eye contact is seen as a sign of respect or attentiveness, while in other cultures it may be seen as a sign of aggression or disrespect. Eye contact is the act of looking directly into another person's eyes, and it can be an important aspect of nonverbal communication. In some cultures, maintaining eye contact is seen as a sign of respect, attentiveness, and honesty. In other cultures, however, avoiding eye contact is seen as a sign of respect, especially when interacting with someone of a higher status. In many Western cultures, maintaining eye contact is important in social and business interactions, and avoiding eye contact can be seen as a sign of dishonesty or disinterest. In some Asian cultures, however, maintaining direct eye contact can be seen as aggressive or confrontational, and avoiding eye contact is a sign of respect. It's important to be aware of these cultural differences in eye contact, and to try to understand the body language of people from other cultures in order to communicate effectively. 3. Personal space. The way that people use personal space can also vary between cultures. Some cultures may have a stronger sense of personal space and may be more sensitive to invasions of that space, while other cultures may be more comfortable with closer physical proximity. 4. Touch. The way that people use touch can also vary significantly between cultures. Some cultures may be more touch-oriented, while others may be less so. 5. Context. It is important to consider the context in which body language is being used, as this can affect the way it is interpreted. For example, certain body language cues may be seen as appropriate or normal in one cultural context, but they may be seen as inappropriate or offensive in another context. 6. Research. It can be helpful to research the body language norms of a particular culture before interacting with people from that culture. This can help to avoid misunderstandings and ensure that communication is as effective as possible. 7. Adaptability. It is important to be adaptable when it comes to body language, and to be willing to adjust one's own body language to better communicate with people from different cultures. 8. Open-mindedness. It is important to approach cultural differences in body language with an open mind, and to try to understand the reasons behind these differences rather than judging them. 9. Respect. It is important to respect the body language norms of other cultures, and to be sensitive to the feelings and beliefs of others when it comes to nonverbal communication. 10. Practice. It can be helpful to practice using body language in different cultural contexts, as this can help to improve one's understanding and adaptability. This can be done through activities such as travel, language learning, or interacting with people from different cultures. 11. Professional interpreters. In some cases, it may be necessary to use a professional interpreter to facilitate communication with people from different cultures. These interpreters are trained to accurately translate both verbal and nonverbal communication and can be a valuable resource in cross-cultural interactions. 12. Virtual communication. When communicating virtually with people from different cultures, it is important to be aware of the potential for misunderstandings due to cultural differences in body language. It can be helpful to use video or audio communication rather than just text-based communication to help reduce the risk of misunderstandings. 13. Professional training. There are also professional training programs available that focus on cultural differences in body language. These programs can be a valuable resource for individuals or organizations that work with people from different cultural backgrounds. 14. Communication style. It is important to keep in mind that cultural differences in body language can be influenced by other factors, such as individual personality, communication style, and social norms. It is important to be sensitive to these differences and to try to understand the unique perspectives of others. In conclusion, cultural differences in body language refer to the ways in which people from different cultures communicate non-verbally through their body language and gestures. Body language includes facial expressions, eye contact, posture, and gestures, and these can vary greatly across cultures. It's important to be aware of these cultural differences and to try to understand the body language of people from other cultures in order to communicate effectively. Some features of cultural differences in body language include facial expressions, eye contact, posture, gestures, physical touch, and proximity. Understanding these cultural differences can help us to better understand and communicate with people from other cultures.